Warriors, so much has happened in the last week that I wanted to get together with you and talk about a couple of very, very important things that have transpired. So get comfortable, take out your warrior notebooks, listen up, listen good, and let's get to it. Each of us needs to educate ourselves so that we can then educate our children or our grandchildren and know what's really going on. Because mainstream media, a lot of media, does not cover any of these subject matters. So you're going to hear it from me, Lynn's Warriors. We're going to get it straight. I will always give you real information, facts, not myths, what is happening, and take actions that you can all join in and do something. Remember, signing on to an action that's it's all done for you. All you have to do is add your name, check off a box, hit the send button. Numbers matter. Listening in. There's so many free tools and safety features that you can use, but I'm convinced nobody really knows about them. But let's get started. I think I'll put my glasses on for this one. I don't want to miss anything. I did my radio program today on WVOX, and it was very interesting. I had two attorneys on, Kristen Price, senior legal counsel at the National Center for Sexual Exploitation in Washington, D.C., and Jason Guinasso from Hutchison and Stephan legal firm in Nevada. Do you think you can sue a state for sex trafficking? Well, these two are. They are suing the state of Nevada for sex trafficking. That Nevada has become a tourism destination, bringing people in from all over to enjoy brothels, which we know, the studies show, a lot of these women are forced into it, pimps, traffickers, forced. And that is the definition of trafficking, of human trafficking, sex trafficking, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same. Force, fraud, or coercion, some form of it. And what these two attorneys are presenting is the 13th Amendment, which is about slavery, that prostitution is slavery. And when you break it down, it really is, because we do know that about, now studies differ, but we do know that about, I'm going to average it and say about 90% of the people in prostitution say they do not want to be there. They want to get out of this life. They were forced into it. They have a pimp, a trafficker. We wish them luck. I'll fill you in on their lawsuit on behalf of two sex trafficking survivors that were trafficked in Nevada through the legal system. So I can't imagine, as we sit here, as I sit here in New York, facing and fighting hard right now on the full decriminalization of the sex trade. I put these on right now. I don't really need them, but it's very concerning. We have to keep an eye on this. Let me tell you what's going on with our new New York State Governor, Kathy Hochul. Now, warriors, you may not be in New York City, New York State like I am. It's important that you listen and listen good, because this pro-sex movement is moving across the entire United States. And I feel like one day you might wake up and it's going to be passed, this legislation, and you're not going to know anything. You didn't hear about it. You didn't know about it. You weren't provided with any take actions. You had no voice in this. I'm telling you about it. So right here in New York, let me tell you about New York. Our new governor, who took over for ousted Cuomo, Kathy Hochul. I remained very neutral. She's been around a long time. Nobody really knew too much about her, what her stance would be on the full decriminalization of the sex trade. Now, let me remind you, warriors, what that means is that prostituted people are not going to be held criminally liable for being in the sex trade. It also talks about, well, let me just stick with that. Let me keep it simple for you. That sounds good, right? Full decrim sounds great. All for it. Knowing the studies, knowing the work I do, knowing that the majority of these people in prostitution were forced into it. They do not want to be there. They can't get out of it. You know, and that's another thing when people say, I don't know, why don't they just walk away? Why don't they, where are they going? You're so beaten down emotionally. You have no money. All you can do is think about where I might get my next meal, where I might put my head tonight on a pillow. You're not thinking, you're just trying to survive. You cannot think about, sure, you know, you kick somebody and you walk away and that's it. And what do? right? Full decriminalization of the sex trade also means pimps, traffickers, sex buyers, illicit spa owners, any third party who causes harm will also not be criminally liable. What does all this mean? It means that open sex trade means there's a lot of money to be made. To fill the demand, more people will be sex trafficked. Children are the demand right now. The ages younger and younger and younger down to babies. Children will be sex trafficked. We will have these pop-up shops in Times Square. We cannot have this. Kathy Hochul, I should say, New York State Governor Kathy Hochul, during a press conference last week, a reporter did ask her, what are your thoughts on the full decriminalization of the sex trade? And as I feared, she said it is something that she is taking a look at, something that she is considering, and that she would be speaking with a lot of people involved with it to hear everybody's voices. Well, let me tell you something, warriors. That is alarming. That cannot happen in New York State. When it happens here, it's going to happen in your state next. Okay, it's going to sweep the country. Did you hear what I said? Demand for children? What is this? Didn't you always think anything with children under 18 was automatically illegal? Yeah, call me wacky, but that's what I thought. Well, that's not the case. So Kathy Hochul, Governor Kathy Hochul, not surprising, but still a little shocking. From what I know, and I know a lot, she's meeting with only the so far, the pro-sex voice. They're being given all the space, all the voice. She has not been meeting with the other side, which Lynn's Warriors is part of, New Yorkers for the Equality Model, and letting us explain, because New Yorkers for the Equality Model is made up of nonprofits, organizations, survivors of sex trafficking that have come together as one. So I can talk, nonstop, but to have an actual person who lived this experience, who survived this experience, speak up and say, we cannot have full decriminalization of the sex trade. We cannot have an open sex market. More people will be trafficked. Look at the harms it causes, the addiction, what it does psychologically, mental health wise. So far, those voices haven't been heard, but we're working on it. But the equality model is the alternative to the full decriminalization of the sex trade. And the equality model means that prostituted people, again, will not be held accountable, and we will give them exit strategies and resources should they want to get out of the sex trade. Should they want? There's no force, okay? However, the equality model will hold accountable those who cause harm. So that's what we have to remember. We want the equality model, New Yorkers, and across the country. And you can learn more about this. Please go to lynswarriors.org, read up under all of my different tabs and things like that about all of these issues. Take the time to learn, because it's very important. Because you know what, warriors? You will have a brothel next door. You will, with this increase, the speeding up of the normalization of the sexualization of our children, you'll have your little girl or little boy wake up and say, mommy, daddy, I want to be a sex worker. There's nothing normal. And I know you know all of this, warriors, about any of this. So we must make our voices heard. I was thinking today, I did my radio show and I started with, and it kind of just popped out of me, all this censorship going around on the internet about certain issues. And I think you will know what I'm talking about. Yet nobody, and I've been saying this all along, nobody censors the porn. If you know where to look, there are child sexual abuse videos. We call it CSAM, child sexual abuse material. It could be videos, dialogue, all sorts of horrible things on the internet, on every single platform. When I say platform, you know what they are: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Messenger, gaming sites. It's all there if you know where to look. And nobody's censoring that. I can't figure it out. I keep asking every day. I'm like, we can't censor any of this. No, they just stare at me, just no answers. With this being said, there's a wonderful movement that Lynn's Warriors is part of, and I want all of you to become part of too. There is a wonderful nonprofit called Exodus Cry, EXODUS. ExodusCry.com is the website. Please go to the website, ExodusCry.com. They have started a petition. I want all of you to sign on to it on the website, ExodusCry.com. This petition being sent to the president, vice president, Congress, and all of the CEOs of the platforms, requesting that age verification on these porn sites must happen, because the children are basically, they're being inundated with porn. And I'm not being drastic here. I talk about this all the time, and it's escalating. They're being raised on porn. First, I want you all to sign the petition. Again, go to the website, exoduscry.com. Or if you're already signed up for my newsletter, I sent it out this morning. It's included on there, the link to sign on. We're asking for age verification with an ID, because a lot of these sites have a little box. I'm sure you've all seen that. You know, check here if you're 18. The kids are checking, gaining easy access. We say they are 2 clicks away from vile content. This is not just people having sex. This is everything you can imagine that right now I don't really feel like talking about, you know, just horrible violence, okay? And a lot of the porn we're talking about, we're not talking about adults even here, is based on children, minors, horrible, horrible things. And once that little brain sees that, they cannot unsee it. It remains. We have the studies. Again, go to the website, lynswarriors.org, look at the studies and see what happens to these developing brains when they witness this violence or these sexual situations. They're too young to know what it means. And the addiction that many of these children, they keep watching, and it's boys and girls, it's both, the addiction. And then they grow up and they're very, maladjusted, I will say, and leads to a lot of sexual violence on their end, them portraying what they see in these videos. And we have to remember, another problem rarely talked about is children seeing this violence right online at the kitchen table, in their bedroom, wherever they're bringing, their device, and then reenacting that with their sibling. We have a lot of that, and nobody's talking about one attacking the other, doing these horrific things. But Exodus Cry does terrific work to abolish sex trafficking and give voice to the survivor. And I want all of you to please support them with a hashtag, protect children, not porn. Protect children, not porn. Now is where I'll put my glasses on, perhaps. I don't want to miss anything. I have so much to tell you. And I want to give you the correct facts. With Exodus Cry, I don't know when you'll watch this video, but tonight is Wednesday, September 29th. Tomorrow is Thursday, September 30th. That is when, free on YouTube, their film, 30 minutes, we all have 30 minutes, these are important subjects, to watch their film called Raised on Porn. And you will go to see that on the Magic Lantern channel. That is the media company, the movie company they worked with. Because not only are the kids accessing porn, but they're sometimes going into a search for a perfectly fine subject matter, and they're directed towards sexual things. They're directed. I have heard this, I've seen this over and over. They're being led down that path, and it's in front of them. So we've got to get better control of all of this. So tomorrow, September 30th, kids take action, raised on porn, free on YouTube, the Magic Lantern channel. We want to hold the porn, the companies, the adult sites responsible. Big tech accountability. I'm so tired of hearing this word. How tough is this? These are kids, our children that are being groomed right in front of us, to hold them accountable. If you're going on one of these sites, you have to verify. You have to have a government ID, a license, something to sign on. You can't just sign on. So again, Exodus, EXODUS, exoduscry.com. And also getting back to our governor, Kathy Hochul, I am urging everyone, and you don't have to be a New Yorker to do this, to call her office, to email her office, to write to her office, because we have to adamantly, say no to this pro-sex work legislation, because I guarantee you, it's coming to your city soon, your town soon, your rural area soon, your state soon, and we have to get on top of this. And I would suggest, again, this is why you have to sign up for my newsletters, because I put all of this information in there, to please go to linswarriors.org and find all this information and take some action, because the survivors, the stories, the harms caused, the lifelong harms, this is not something, you if you're lucky enough to even get out of this life of prostitution, of exploitation, that just goes away. It's a lifelong struggle. And that's what Lynn's Warriors, that's what I do. That's what we do. We work with these people, we support them, we help them reclaim their lives, whether it's paying for groceries or medicine, or an electric bill popped up that can't be paid, or a child, if there is one, or a grandchild needs something and the person can't get, it's a backpack for school. They're so proud if they can give a little something. That's what Lynn's Warriors does. And you all have to become involved. I want to continue on this theme of the internet. I'll call it good news for now, because I want to remain positive, but I really don't have high hopes that just this past Monday, Instagram paused Instagram Kids. Now, they were developing, they were pushing, they were touting, they were discussing. We want to develop an Instagram Kids for 13 and under. Okay, so that's 0 to 12. And like I said, Monday they announced, we're going to pause, because we're not going to get rid of this, but we want to work now with parents, experts, and policymakers to demonstrate the value and need for this product. We'll continue to build opt-in parental supervision tools for teens, because again, the teens are going right now on the adult, I'll call it adult Instagram. The pause is on the Instagram for kids, which is 12 and under. But Instagram says, kids are already online, and right now, we believe that developing age-appropriate experiences designed specifically for them is far better for parents than where we are today. Our peers, I guess that would be Lynn's Warriors' peer, recognize these issues and experiences for kids, and opposed Instagram for kids. And Instagram goes on to tell us that, YouTube and TikTok have versions of their app for those 13 and under. However, our intention is not for this version to be the same as Instagram is today. We want to develop age appropriate, that parents can have supervision tools, reminding us again, focus on teen safety. Well, you know what, warriors, let me put this aside, because, good luck with that. I'll tell you why. Because tomorrow, let me get this information, this goodie for you. One of our Lynn's Warriors take actions tomorrow, September 30th, Washington, D.C. There is a congressional hearing. Do you think Before this congressional hearing on Monday, Instagram said, well, we can't take the heat right now, because if you're following along, Warriors, Facebook and Instagram, which are the same company, the Wall Street Journal has done an excellent series, and they're continuing doing the series about the harms of Facebook and Instagram and the mental health of our children. So do you think they said, let's just pause this Instagram kids and get people to back off a little bit? But that being said, there is still a congressional hearing, 10:30 tomorrow morning, Eastern time. And this is called Protecting Kids Online, Facebook, Instagram, and Mental Health Harms. And this is being chaired by Senator Richard Blumenthal from our neighbor. Well, I'm here in New York, Connecticut, our neighbor. And he wants to talk about how children and teens face immense peer pressure and social expectations to broadcast their lives online. True, we can all attest to that. Recent Wall Street Journal investigations have revealed troubling insights regarding what Facebook knows about how Instagram affects young users, including their mental health. The hearing will cover Facebook's research into the impact of its apps on young audiences, its actions to address threats to these users, and policy considerations to safeguard kids online. And policy considerations, Warriors, is something I work very hard on. In case you don't know, the city of New York, the state of New York, and on the federal level in Washington, D.C., to make everything safe for our children. However, I want to make all of you aware, you can listen to this September 30th, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. You have to go to online, commerce.senate.gov/hearings, commerce.senate.gov/hearings, protecting kids online. I really urge all of you right now. Facebook is sending one witness home. Antigone Davis, director, global head of safety. Well, I never heard of her. That doesn't matter. There's no safety. So let's see if this is a dog and pony show. At least it's in the news, sort of. At least I'm talking about it. I spoke about it on my radio show today. And I'll be following up and giving you what's going on with that. But for now, pausing Instagram, and that's a great thing for right now. The other good news I want to talk to you about, I'm sure you all heard about R. Kelly being indicted, being charged. And I'll tell you why, Warriors, because I began my career in the music business. I heard stories about R. Kelly. I can't tell you for how long. Now, I didn't know him. I didn't work with him. I didn't see this firsthand. I only heard stories, but for years. And he was convicted on all 9 counts against him, including racketeering and violations of the Mann Act. You know what the Mann Act is? Prohibits the transport of any woman or girl or boy across state lines for immoral purposes. So he's facing 10 years to life in prison when he is sentenced on May 4th. But these stories about him and his little entourage for years and years. And don't forget Aaliyah, if any of you remember the young singer who tragically died in a plane crash in the 90s. He married her. I think she was 15. He got her to sign. I mean, I heard that story for years. He got her to sign a fake certificate. She was 18. She wore some kind of hat or wig pulled down over her head, but total exploitation, total abuse, total. I mean, you all remember his song, I Believe I Can Fly. They were doing, everybody was covering it. Everybody played it at weddings and birthday parties and sporting events. What a fall from grace. I mean, couldn't that be enough for this guy? No, because he's sick. That's what that's about. But that's good news because he's finally getting his. And again, Warriors, there will never be enough justice for people who do these crimes, but we will take anything there is. That's what I have to say about that. I also, if you're able, you should really listen to my radio program. I will be posting today's program. It's live every Wednesday, 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern time But of course, I posted, I have SoundCloud, I have coming up on Apple, iTunes, on Spotify. It'll be listed. It's called Lynn's Warriors. What else, everybody? I I can't get through. It's an hour, and there's so much information that transpires in a week. It's hard to I can barely get it out of my mouth, and I try to focus on having expert guests that can fill us in around the country what's happening on certain things also. To make you aware, because I'm a firm believer we have to start in our own households and communities to make this difference. But we also have to know what is going on around the country. For instance, today we had the lawsuit with the state of Nevada. We have to know about that. You know why, warriors? Because if full decrim gets passed here, we're going to have to start a lawsuit here about this is sexual slavery to protect our children. So we need to be aware of what's happening all over the place, and just keep it in the back of our warrior heads and utilize that information when need be. The other good news is the Warriors is going full in on what I like to call the hashtag Hollywood hustle. Now, coming from that entertainment world, it's over. When I say Hollywood, I kind of use it for shorthand, including television, film, literary for children, any music, any of that stuff. So we'll just say Hollywood for shorthand. It's done. It's over. The sign's burning and falling down. Those days are over. All you have to do is, if you dig around and look at who's selling the manses, everybody's unloading real estate, and they have been in the last year. Where's the money? With streaming, it's cut into all of these big deals. And don't believe those, $100 million Netflix deals going on. Everybody's getting $100 million from Netflix, please. I'd like to see the proof on that. And remember, Netflix is a major offender of programming directed at our children that sexualizes them and borders and is pornographic. Next week, my Warriors guest on WVOX will be Tim. Let me get his name correct. I'm jumping around here. It's just, I have like so much I have to tell you. From the Parents Television and Media Council. And we are going to talk, Tim Winter, I'm sorry. It's getting late here. Been out on the road all day, but I wanted to make sure I did a video and updated you on a couple of very important issues. We are going to talk about, and that's parentstv.org. So easy, parentstv.org. Go and look at that. There's a show called Big Mouth on Netflix, Sex Education on Netflix. Everything, just go there. You'll get all the information, parentstv.org. We have to start getting back to really signing these petitions. And the Warriors have been doing it, but people have been getting lazy in the last few years. Remember, numbers always count. Groups count. Voices heard. We need the voices of the parents. We need the voices of the grandparents, any trusted adults, family members, to say, no, that program, animation directed at children depicting 12 and 13-year-olds having oral sex, talking about it, all kinds of things. Again, I don't want to talk about it right now. You get the drift, Warriors. Can't have that. So go to parentstv.org. See what petitions you can sign. Make sure you tune in to Lynn's Warriors next Wednesday live at 3 p.m. on WVOX. If not, don't worry, Warriors. I will post it. I have to post today's later. Certainly by the next morning, it's always up there for you on SoundCloud to take your time and listen to. I'm urging you, because there really is no show like this, to be honest. I'm just one woman trying to do many things. I also want to tell you that our March to the Border, that was last Saturday, September 25th, was wonderful, was peaceful, was successful. I'm urging all of you, we are going to be having more events. We need more help. We need more names. We need more boots on the ground. Remember, everything we do is peaceful. We are about protecting all children. Marchtotheborder.com is the website. Again, marchtotheborder.com. Our good friend, Freedom Warrior Landon Starbuck, led the march. About 100 people, McAllen, Texas. Some Congress people up for election. Landon's husband, Robbie Starbuck, is actually running for Congress in the great state of Tennessee, and spoke, shared, and quietly marched to the border. We know that children are being sex trafficked. We know people are being sex trafficked. Right now, I'll say children. We're so worried about children. We know they're being warehoused on the other side. We know they're being drugged. They're dragged over our border. We don't know where they go. They're getting on buses, they're getting on airplanes, they're going to all 50 of our states. Local law enforcement's locked out. They don't know. This is on the federal government. So again, marchtotheborder.com. We very much all believe in grassroots, working within the community and communities around the country to get the work done. Just like I'm sitting here talking to you, you can go out and spread the word or take one action. That's what we want to do, because there's so much red tape at the federal level, so much noise and discourse. My opinion, the work's not getting done. We can see it. So we need to help all children. These children don't deserve, they end up in this country. We have the cartels, the gangs in every state. Don't be fooled. And they then carry out the work of the cartels in Mexico when they drop the people, specifically children, here into these communities. And the gangs, which have always dealt with so many different issues, also a lot of drugs and things. No, I think their number one trade right now is sex trafficking, making a lot of money. We can't have it happen to your child or to you. So we've got to be aware. So marchtotheborder.com. I will say, going back to, they censor, for instance, different subject matters. And I said they don't censor kids having easy access to porn or child rape videos that can be found. All kinds of child sexual abuse material. They did censor trying to put up images and of a very peaceful, lovely afternoon of community. And they did censor any of the speeches, and everything was appropriate, warriors. There was nothing making our voices heard as parents, grandparents, elected officials, people who want to be elected, who are running for Congress that could really help. And it was censored. We couldn't put up video. We couldn't put up pictures. So that's that. I wanted to also make you aware that I just want to check this because I had a story for you, but then I decided I'll save that for next time. It's just too dark right now. But I'm urging all of you, let's finish up with, because I could go on all night. I can see what I'm doing here. Look, the internet is the number one predator to our children. We can all agree. So we need to leverage it for good. We need to monitor. We need to get safety filters or be able to enact the pins. We need to know how to do it. Go to protectyoungeyes.com. Our good friend Chris McKenna, Data4, started the company because he couldn't find anything a couple of years ago to protect his children. And working in, he comes from the internet, tech world. He couldn't find like 4 children. I can't be with all of them at the same time. And he started this great company, protectyoungeyes.com. You will find free safety filters, free webinars. He's got a series of little 5-minute videos, little nuggets that you can watch with your children. You need to make the children your partner. It has to be a family effort, a group effort, a friend effort. We should be trending that, we're the great ones. We're doing this. We're protecting children. We're protecting all people. And to get on board with us. but we know there's some censorship out there. So we do the best we can do. Remember, you can always write to me also if you have any questions. Lynn, Lynn, at lynswarriors.org. But I want to finish up with reminding you Thursday, September 30th, on YouTube, Raised on Porn about kids. That will give you an idea of the landscape. I implore you, I'm urging you, actually, I'm begging you, take the time, go on YouTube, go on the Magic Lantern channel and find this. You will be shocked and surprised, but you know what? You'll end up educated. So it's a good thing. I always recommend the free documentary Childhood 2.0. This came out last May. Came out in 2020. It's the best. You know, people are visual. People don't want to be lectured to. Kind of like I'm doing now, but I'm not really lecturing. I'm just chatting with you, warriors. PowerPoints, how boring are those? How about we go on a Zoom and everybody's PowerPointing? Oh, please, we're beyond that. We can't have that. You know, I want you to utilize what I'm telling you, like protectyoungeyes.com. I want you to see this Childhood 2.0 documentary. The website is childhood2movie.com, and it presents the landscape, the online landscape. We've got kids talking, we've got some parents, some grandparents filling you in what they know, what they don't know, how parents are reacting watching their children talk about what goes on the internet. I have more parents say to me, my child would never communicate with a stranger. Well, you know, we know, and remember, these are underreported numbers. We know about 1 in 4 would be the average of children. That would be 18 and under, are contacted by a stranger. Now think about that. That's approximately 25% of kids. Now, of that 25%, about 42%, probably higher, 42% respond. It's almost half. I mean, I'm going up a little bit, but to a stranger. And that's where it starts. Our children are vulnerable. Our children are hurting. We must take action. We must become warriors. I want you to read this great study. It came out last week. Our good friends Matt McKee and Titania Jordan from Bark, like the dog, BARK. It's a monitoring tool website. Now, monitoring, you might not like that word, but you know what, warriors? Take action, because you'd rather have your child or grandchild safe than exchanging nude images or ending up going to meet somebody, you know, sneaking out of the house. There's lots of stories I could sit here for hours and tell you about. There was a girl in another state who stole a car. I can't say she stole it. It was in her neighbor's driveway. And I mean, the keys were there. And why people do that, I'll never understand. Leave the keys in the car. Maybe it's because I'm from New York. I don't, you know, New York and Jersey, you shouldn't leave your keys in the car. And she drove 300 miles to meet a man she met on the internet. There's a story of a boy I know in another state. And he, same thing. He was 10 years old and drove something like 400 miles to meet a man. Now, in this child's defense, well, in nobody's defense, but this child thought he was meeting another child. This is crazy stuff. Like, do they stop for gas? Like, what is this? So we're going to end with, warriors, to go to BARK, BARK.us is the website. Again, this is a free study. At first, I want you to see what BARK does, because they provide monitoring tools, because let's face it, many people tell me they're overwhelmed, they're stressed, they don't have time for this, they've got jobs, multiple jobs, they've got chaos, we've got the country in chaos, we've got all of this stuff that's been going on in the last, what has it been now, 19, 20 months? I don't even say the name of it. I'll just say all of this stuff going on in the last 19, 20 months. People are definitely overwhelmed. Bark will do it all for you for a very nominal fee, a monthly fee. They will monitor very simply. You connect and they give you all the information. Go read about it. You know, you can even try it free. There's a 7-day free trial. So you can connect your children's devices and things like that to, for instance, your phone. Now, should somebody send an inappropriate image to, as an example, your daughter's phone, your 12-year-old daughter's phone, the Bark monitoring tool will notify the parent something inappropriate. You can deal with it right on the spot. And that's what we have to do. It's not, delete it and never talk about it again. That is human trafficking, an image. Asking a child to send an image back, human trafficking. You have to understand human trafficking is something moving, whether you're in a car, you're in a van, you're being brought from house to house, or it's an image or dialogue online. That is moving. That is human trafficking. That's the definition. So we want to deal with this. So what do? You immediately will always call 911. We'll start there. And you'll also go to missingkids.org. That is the National Center on Missing and Exploited Children based out of Washington, D.C. They put out the Amber Alerts around the country. They have a tip line. And that's another wonderful resource to read studies, vetted facts, what's going on. Missingkids.org is the national clearinghouse for all of the missing kids. I post a missing child every day on my platforms, and I ask that you retweet, you share, and show this face. It's thousands of children just missing. Where do they go? How come we don't hear about more found? I will say the Gabby Petito story, tragic as it is, and I pray for her and her family, of course. It did good in that it shed light on talking about, for the media, talking about the issue of missing persons. It gave a little uptick to the whole movement. It put eyes on it. Unfortunately, I want to share with you, and again, I want to say this is a tragic, tragic story and death that no parent should have to face or individual. In that same area where Gabby Petito's body was found, about almost a 10-year span, about 700 Indigenous women and girls were reported missing or murdered, and not a peep, really. Did you hear about them? I sure didn't. 700 in about 10 years, missing or murdered? We need to talk about all the missing and murdered. The girls of color far outweigh. And I was in Washington one time and talking about, why aren't people in the streets screaming about this? And why isn't this a major issue? And where are all these kids? And then somebody said to me, working with missing children, the number's probably a lot higher, because a lot of these kids we don't even know the number, because the kids are never reported even missing. How sad is that? A lot of these kids come from abusive households and they're running away. And the predators are right there waiting. The child's hungry or needs a roof over their head. And children are naive, even teens who think a lot of them smart. And after 2 days on the streets and you're hungry, you're going to go with somebody for a hamburger. I guarantee you. And that's where it begins. So, warriors, we've got to address all of this, but I want you to go, let's get back to Bark, BARK.us. I want you to read, very important, their new study, new suicidal ideation research from the CDC and Bark. Yeah, that's CDC, but let that go for now. This is a wonderful study revealing the suicide ideation and self-harm. So many of our kids actively talk about and are actually doing. And one quote from this study says, they give a few blurbs. Let me read one. It says, children who experience high severity self-harm or attempted suicide have previously shown significantly higher risky online behaviors. Red flags related to youth mental health can be spotted earlier, and it teaches you what to look for. And, I work with law enforcement, and there is a crisis among our American youth with self-harm and suicide. Again, you don't hear about it. The media doesn't talk about it too much. So I urge all of you, you've got some homework, warriors, go to bark.us and look at this study. It really takes, I time things because I want everything, believe it or not, to be easy for you to digest. I want you to be able to have free resources because then, and I pray every day that then you'll use these, you'll put them into action. If things become dark, I could sit here for 5 hours right now and talk about organ harvesting, but I'll save that for another time. I'll leave that. I could talk about rape trees on the border. I'm going to leave that for another time. We're going to talk about what we can do immediately in our homes that trickles down into our own communities, which in turn strengthens them. But you got to talk to your kids. You got to become partners. You've got to get on top of this internet thing because all of this noise, warriors, right now, nothing's getting better. You make the difference. You make the change. So come together. I recommend you must listen to my Lynn's Warriors WVOX radio program. SoundCloud, I tweet it, I Facebook it. Pretty soon, iTunes and Spotify, that's happening momentarily. Or tune in live every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 1460 a.m. New York. WVOX.com, no excuses, warriors. But also the newsletter, that's very important. Again, I could write a 10-page newsletter. I try to keep it to a couple of pages to keep you engaged because we want to engage, educate, and empower. Remember the 3 E's and strengthen. And please go to the website, lynswarriors.org. Sign up for that newsletter that goes out every Tuesday, Wednesday. I was a little bit out of town. I usually send them on Tuesday and got back late and I went out early this morning. You have that for homework, signing up for the newsletter. But you know what? The best homework I can give you is to protect your children. Is truly to talk to them, start communication. None of us, this is all new, what's been going on for the last couple of years and the last year especially. So we must come together, talk about it, remain safe. Think always with the kids, default to safety. And protect each other and protect our kids. But you can't do it unless you have the information, the education, and the wherewithal and the passion and determination. And I know you parents and grandparents out there and trusted family members want to protect the kids. You need to be directed. You need to know where to go. You need to be able to do it without spending, lots of money. And we're doing it here in the Warriors. And there'll be very exciting things coming up in the works. Full medical law enforcement protocol program that will be happening. First responders program with the Warriors that will be happening. Some live events as we move along. New York is still somewhat closed up a bit, I'll say. And people are a little bit scared, but we all forge ahead, right, warriors? Because that's what we are. We're warriors. So let me leave you with thank you for listening to all of this. Again, the website, lynswarriors.org. I am here for you to help in any way possible with any of this. Support Exodus Cry. Support the work of the warriors. Protect yourselves and your children. And remember each and every day, be a warrior.